What's up, guys? As you know, the documentary 2 was leaked a couple days ago, and today is Friday, October 2nd. So I know you guys are checking out for the album review, saying, you know, like what I think about it. I'm actually gonna hold off until the full album is out for sure, and I'll, actually buy it because I'm actually a fan of the game. So I'm gonna buy it, listen to it, and then you'll get my review. So when the official album is out, that's when I'll actually do the video. For the meantime, I'm going to give you guys my review for the first documentary, the documentary 1, which was released back in 2005. I actually shot this video like a month ago. And that was the video that was supposed to come out when the original documentary, the original release date was the 25th of September. Maybe not the 25th of September, I forgot when it was. But it was when the original documentary 2 release date was supposed to be put out. That's when I was actually going to put out the documentary 1 review. And as you guys know, my computer crashed and all that crap that just held me back for like weeks. And so I've been holding on to it. So I'm actually going to put it out now. There's really not too many albums. I think Chuck English dropped an album today, and really, I'm be honest, I don't really know too much about him, so I might listen to it. If you guys do want me to review his album, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, I'm not too familiar with his music, so I was gonna skip on that and maybe do like a throwback video on a older album. So that's when I decided to release this album. So the documentary 1 review will be coming out later on this evening. Yeah, man, like this is actually exciting for me because I really love this album and I have fun reviewing it. So if it does seem a little out of date, mind you, I did shoot it like a month ago and it's been some time. You can tell like my hair was dumb long. I just got my hair cut not too long ago, a couple days ago. So, it's definitely hat wearing season out here in Maryland. As you can tell, like, it's pretty nasty outside. So yeah, that's about it, man. Let me know what you guys think of the review. Again, I have fun shooting it, and thanks for all the love and support. Catch you next time. Marcus from the shop, out. What's going on, guys? Marcus here, back in the shop, and the question of the day that's got us all scratching our heads is, what happens to the documentary 2?
Something new. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop.
So for the past several months, rapper The Game has been talking about releasing a sequel to the classic album, The Documentary, that was released back in 2005. So he said he was going to release The Documentary 2 not too long ago. It's been pushed back numerous times, and today, August 28th, was the day that he said he was going to release it. For the past few days, weeks, and so, I have not seen any promotion on Instagram, via Twitter, or anything, or even during interviews. I've seen him talking about the album from time to time. I saw an interview with him with Sway, I want to say sometime earlier this week or last week, where he said he was actually going to drop the album, where they were talking about what's going on and what's changed in the past 10 years since Game's arrival in the hip-hop game, since his G-Unit days to what's going on now. But I did notice in the interview they did not release an actual date. He didn't say it was coming out August 28th or September 25th or whatever. But it seems like today a lot of fans were let down because we were waiting for that album. Even me, I really thought it was going to come out today. But just like everybody else, I'm just as disappointed. So without leaving you a video for the week, I decided to do something a little different by talking about a classic album, the original documentary. Now, this review may be a little longer than what my normal reviews are, which are usually somewhere around 7 to 8 minutes. I usually try to keep it under 10, but because this is an older album and I grew up listening to it, it was released in 2005 when I was around 15 years old. It's a classic to me, and this is my first time reviewing a classic album, so it may be a little longer than what you're used to. So I'm gonna try to do my best to keep it under 15 minutes. So we'll see how it goes. So the documentary was released back in 2005, where Game was actually signed to G-Unit Records back in the day. A lot of people forget that. I don't know how. And at that time, back in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, hip hop was pretty much dominated by down south artists and even East Coast rappers. So we had guys like Lil Jon, the East Side Boys, Trillville, T.I., Jeezy, and up the East Coast, we still had Dipset, G-Unit, and the Rockefeller Boys that were running around. There wasn't really too much noise coming from the West Coast at that time. We still had guys like Snoop and Ice Cube doing the thing, but there weren't any real fresh faces. So at that time, we didn't hear any music from him during the mainstream, but there was a big mixtape circuit that was going on back in those days, like Untold Story. And we did see him in various music videos, even though we probably didn't know who he was at the time. So if you don't recall, Game was actually in 50 Cent's It's Your Birthday or Lloyd Banks' Fire. So we did see him in the videos, and fans of G-Unit knew who he was just from seeing him on TV, and we heard about him during interviews. We might have heard some freestyles, but at that time there was no actual music from him with G-Unit. So when G-Unit's album came out, Game was nowhere to be found or heard on the album. So we did know that he was a part of the unit, but we didn't know when he was set to be released. Come 2005, the documentary comes out and takes over the game, gives West Coast a voice back. Pretty much this album gave you a little bit of everything. So you got your gangsta music, you got your, I guess you could say your love songs, the one joint that he's got with Mary J. You got your club bangers, like Put You on the Game and Higher with Just Blaze and Timbaland on the beat. And then you got your songs that really made you think, wow, this dude has gone through a lot. Now this album is chock full of heavyweight producers from Dr. Dre, Cool and Dre, Timbaland, Just Blaze, Havoc, and even Eminem. So from the introduction of the album, we have Dr. Dre. You could tell it's him from his eerie piano keys, just the dun, 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 dun. From that, it kind of reminds me of Dr. Dre's 2001. So it gives you that same sense with just more of a relevant sound. It's still West Coast, it's still funky, but it's got a more demonizing, evil sound to it. There's just something about that just makes us feel so demonic on West Side Story. I felt like you could tell who the producer was without him having to shout out his name just from that sound. So for me, back in those days, the biggest producers that you could have at that time was RZA, Dre, Just Blaze, Tim, and even Kanye. Those guys were the guys that made, to me, in my honest opinion, the best sounding music. So Game had most of these guys that I just listed on this album. So we had Just Blaze that gave you those club anthems, Timbaland that gave you that one Ante Up joint, Put You on the Game, that at that time had me just real amped. Not only was this a fresh album to me because, again, it was the first hip-hop artist that came out in the mainstream that came from the streets in the longest time. I mean, I wasn't old enough when Snoop and Dre and those guys were coming out putting music on the radio. I mean, I was alive, I was born in 1990, but when those guys came out, it was more portrayed in the earlier 90s, and I wasn't old enough to appreciate the music that they were making. So The Game, his album, was my real introduction of what people from LA were going through. So he talked about everything from what was going on in the streets, his struggle between banging with the Bloods, fighting the Crips, him living in a neighborhood that seemed like, from what I took, was divided between the two. As soon as you hit the mailbox in the neighborhood or on that block, you were on Crip territory. So it was a lot of struggle. He even paints a picture of the time he was robbed and shot during a drug deal that went bad. He gives you the specific time, exactly what he was doing. Not only did he talk about it in this album, but I do remember, I want to say my first introduction to The Game was on Lloyd Banks' Hunger for More, on the song The Chips Are Down, where he actually gives you a painted, detailed story of what was going on, again, when he was robbed and shot 5 times, then put in a coma for a long time. Now, to me, just the descriptive style of how he painted that story, nobody could touch with, honestly. Like, I feel like if Ghost and Raekwon, and maybe even Slick Rick, are considered the best storytellers on the hip-hop, I would have to say they're the best storytellers on the East Coast. And if you want to put Big in that category, then that's cool too. But me personally, I feel like The Game is the king of storytelling on the West Coast. And yes, I feel like he's better than Cube and Tupac when it comes to telling stories. Their stories that they told were more out of fantasy. It was more something that you might have heard or seen in a movie. So for example, when Pac was talking about how getting shot at by the police or whatever he was talking about on that joint with Big on Ghost on the Tupac Resurrection album, that it was a good story. I mean, it painted a visual image in my head of both the MCs, what they were talking about. Like how Big was talking about, I'm too fat, fuck around, catch an asthma attack, that's why I bust back, it don't faze me. Like when Big was talking about that, like it might have been true, but it was just a snippet. Even when Pac was going on his verse, it was detailed, but not compared to what Game was talking about. He was telling you from scene to scene, the time that was going on, exactly what he was doing when he was shot. How he was playing PS2, he was playing Madden, the knock on the doors, the shots, everything. It's the detailed, descriptive story. And I can't say too many other rappers from the West Coast are that detailed when it comes to that, are that talented to tell a story that descriptive. And you may stereotype Game as just a gangster rap that doesn't talk about nothing but selling drugs and gangbanging and all this other bullshit that people want to say that gangster rappers talk about. But on the flip side of that, this album is only 70% gangster rap, in my humble opinion. It is a gangster rap album, but we do have tracks on here like Father Like Son, Special, and Don't Worry, where it doesn't show his sensitive side, but it gives you another side of the game that's not all about gangbanging. For example, like Father Like Son, on that album, on that song, again, he gives you another story, detail to detail of the times of what he was doing when his baby's mother was giving birth to his first son, Harlem. So it gives you the time that he was born, exactly what he was doing, running around, to being detailed enough by saying that he was scratching or he was scuffing his Air Forces, running around trying to catch his breath. And he even shouts out the nurses that helped give birth to his son. I can't say too many other rappers have done that in the past. Now, I've always said Game's rap style has a more East Coast influence because it's not real laid back and just chill, kind of how like Easy and Snoop's rapping style is, where it's just real laid back. It's more of a hardcore lyrical approach, somewhat similar to what Ice Cube's delivery is. It still has that West Coast funk. I mean, he's still, the majority of his raps is talking about LA lifestyle, which is what we do need to hear from a West Coast artist. Again, he was a fresh face to hip-hop from the West Coast scene. At that time, like I said earlier, there wasn't too much, you know, noise coming from LA or South Central. So it was a fresh breath of air at that time for a lot of guys that were in the West Coast that were trying to be, you know, be up-and-coming MCs that just couldn't get a door open for them. From the introduction to this album, from the intro to West Side Story, it just has that Dr. Dre feel. Just the eerie keyboards that he's known to have. Some similar to like what 2001's instrumentals are. You still get that taste here with just a more, at that time, relevant sound. So G-Unit was known for making that real gritty music. They were gangsters, you know, they still are, don't get me wrong. And that's what their style was known for. Just that production was just supposed to be real hardcore, real, not 90s as in like that boom bap, but definitely has that thugged out feel. Whereas which this album does have that, but again, it has that low rider music feel to it. This album, now when I do say that, I don't mean that it's just real laid back where it's nothing but gangster joints on it. There are a lot of joints on this album, a lot of tracks that definitely has you thinking like, oh wow, this guy has gone through a lot in his life. Now at this time when this album was released, this was like the first time I've heard a rapper who was spitting about how hard he is, how he has no problems busting his guns and kicking your ass, while portraying a more sensitive side as far as pretty much all the crap that he's gone through in life. And then things that he's appreciative of. I've never heard of a rapper who's gave out so much homage to the guys in front of him. So he shouts out Snoop, he shouts out Jay and Nas and Big and Pac continuously throughout the album on how much of an influence he's been in his life. He shouts out how he's grateful for, you know, G-Unit for putting him on. Not verbatim, he doesn't like literally say like, thank you for doing this for me and blah, blah, blah. But you can tell that he's definitely appreciative of him being even signed to G-Unit Records or Aftermath Records, and for Dr. Dre to pretty much discovering him, pulling him out the hood. So needless to say, I was very surprised to hear songs like Father Like Son, Special, Don't Worry, and Dreams, where again, it's not just talking about busting his gun and how hardcore of a gangster he was. It was just an emotional spill of what he's going through in his life, and just, especially like Father Like Son, and his perspective on his outlook of life in general. Honestly, I can't think of any MCs out there who paints a story for you for the birth of their first child. Like, he takes you on a journey. We may have some guys who may shout their kids out and whatnot, but give you an actual story to what was going on. It's definitely something unique. Overall, guys, I pretty much give this album a 10 out of 10. Definitely a dope album. I advise you to go listen to it, especially if you've never heard it before and you are familiar with Game's music from his latest projects like Year of the Wolf and Jesus Piece. So I definitely cannot wait, and I'm super excited for the documentary 2 to be released. So I'm hoping it comes out soon, man. Like, I really do. You all had us all hyped up for the release date to be today. So I need you to come out and confirm when this date is, man. I'm really anticipating for this album. It's pretty much a biography. Go check it out. You'll get an introduction to his life. As we all know, Game is pretty much an open book when it comes to his music. So if you guys have not heard the album, go check it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you agree with my opinion? Let me know what you think. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know if there's an older album that you would like for me to review. If there is, let me know in the comments section and subscribe.